Now, if you don't know what Velma is and you've been living under a rock, it's a new sort of adult spin-off of the show Scooby-Doo, a thing that everyone has been clearly asking for. And this show is probably one of the most agreed on, hated shows in recent memory. It's just so bad and no one seems to like it. And there's a lot of reasons why people don't like it. Now, people have different reasons. Some people say the show is too woke.
Velma, whom they've made woke, okay? And not only is she woke, she's also a blackface lesbian, right? Which is something that I don't think fans are really gonna like that much.
When they mean by woke, they just mean like they race swap characters. I personally think that's a silly reason not to like a show, is because the character was once white is black.
I could be part of that world.
And some people just think it's trying to be a social political commentary show without understanding politics or sort of sociology or anything that comes with it. And some people don't like the crude humor. Some people don't like the meta humor, how self-aware the show is. Like, it tells you it's a TV show over and over and over. And I think all those things play into it. Now, personally, I just want to say myself, I don't really care if a show's politics is per se. I can enjoy a conservative leaning show or a liberal leaning show as long as the characters are likable, the message is easy to understand, and there's sort of a social commentary point with a good narrative. Hey, I'll take any of those things. It can be woke, non-woke, super woke, not broke, too broke, all black, all white, a little bit of Asian mixed in with a little bit of Polynesian. That doesn't really matter to me. But that's not really the problem of this show. To me, the real problem of this show is just how like mean it is. It's actually like a mean, cynical show, and that's the problem. Now look, I personally don't have a problem as well with cynical takes on media. I think with this show, and the problem with it is just how mean it is, right? It seems to take beloved characters and make them the worst thing possible. But this has been going on in Hollywood for some time. And I think the problem is people are sick of millennial, cynical, nihilistic humor. I think that's the problem with this show. I think at some point, people are really tired of millennial nihilism, right? Like, my generation seems to love this thing where we deconstruct every beloved thing ever. And that's been going on for a while, from, you know, the previous generation, you know, which are Gen X people, to the millennial generation, which I count into, where it's taking beloved properties or political ideas, ideology, religion, and then making it seem worthless, pointless, and not something to want. Now, when I say nihilism, there's an actual philosophy to that, and I'm just kind of using the social pop idea of nihilism, which is just like nothing really matters at all and there's no meaning of anything. And I think this is sort of the ethos that has been sort of TV and social media for the last few years. I mean, and for good reason, right? I mean, we live in a society where so many of our institutions have failed us, whether if it's our politicians, political party, corporate, news media. I mean, all these things have sort of failed us to a certain extent, and people are tired and sick of seeing scandals and sick of seeing what seems to be so many fake things. And we see this in our media now, where that kind of shows up. I mean, I think the reason people actually hate Marvel is not because it's woke and it's like women and people of color. I mean, there are some people who just literally hate that a lot, and we should just ignore those people. But really, I think it's the sort of thing of taking a beloved character and making the previous generation just seem bad. We actually do want heroes. We want people who have done something great. I just thought about this the other day. Martin Luther King Day was on Monday, right? And most time we see Martin Luther King as a good figure, but every once in a while the conversation comes up where people seem to really want to destroy his legacy because, yeah, he did cheat on his wife. And it's like, well, how do we hold these things in tension? Because here the thing is, I would not be in the place I am in life without what a lot of the work the civil rights heroes did. And they are flawed people. But to me, they're still heroes, nonetheless, even with all their mistakes. I mean, is there a place where we can learn from the mistakes of the past and still honor those who came before us. This even shows up in things like the Founding Fathers, where people are looking back and saying, okay, these guys were slave owners and they were terrible, and they were kind of hypocrites in believing in freedom for some, not for others. They were very elitist. And these things are all true for a lot of them, but also at the same time, Jeffersonian democracy ideas have been very influential to people. I mean, shoot, FDR, one of my favorite presidents, the person who created the New Deal, Social Security, the welfare state. I think these things are good things for the most part. They have bad too. I mean, shoot, he was terrible to his wife, but like, he helped lead America in World War II and helped us out of the Great Depression. While some people dispute that, especially a lot of politically conservative people, I'll stand by it. FDR is probably one of the greatest 20th century presidents of all time. The more I was watching that show, I think this was the final straw for people. They took Scooby-Doo, right? It's a talking dog with some like characters who are like, have some kind of personality, but are malleable enough where you can make them interesting. And I think an adult version of Scooby-Doo would do well if they just didn't hate the show and they didn't hate the people who liked Scooby-Doo himself. So bad written. So badly written. I'm badly talking. I talk bad at stuff. Anyway, guys, you guys tell me what you think. Do you think people hate this show because of the cynicism and nihilism of it? Do you think that's a big problem in our writing today? Or am I wrong? And it's just because, like, it's extra wokey woke. Has a black shaggy. You guys let me know.